history in the central Bosnia,
Yeah.
which is really helping us to show this country in a different light. As you know, for the last 15 years, this small country was known as a country where only negative information were produced. The war, the violence, and the poor economy.
Yeah.
And now, all of a sudden, we have the project, which is very positive, which is bringing the people of different nationalities and religions together. Because this is not the project which will further divide these people, but because of its prehistoric time, it will help all the people to unite and to be proud of such a civilizational complex that's in the middle of the country.
Wow, very nice. And I'd love to talk a little bit about the potential builders and so forth of these pyramids, who they might be and how old they are and so forth. But maybe a little bit later. First, I want to ask you about the tunnels. This is, as you say, fascinating material. How far apart are these five pyramids that you're referring to, if you were to estimate it roughly? And have you been, if we're talking about the tunnels, have you been down there personally checking them out? And do you know if there are have been dug out, or if there are, in any instances might be what is known as lava tunnels, I guess, meaning natural cavities and so forth?
Now, those tunnels are very interesting because, as my experience showed, you always have the network of underground tunnels in the main pyramidal complexes. You go to Giza pyramids, and you can find the network of the underground tunnels. You go to Saqqara step pyramid in Egypt. Again, you have the maze of those underground tunnels, which runs for tens of kilometers. You go to Teotihuacan in Mexico, you're finding those tunnels. Now we are having them here in Bosnia. Right now we are working on two of them, and of course I do go there on a daily basis. And we have made a decision that this project will be open to anyone who's interested in joining us. And not only for the experts, for the archaeologists, for the students, but also for the volunteers, for the tourists, for the visitors. So as we are working in the tunnels, as we are putting the wooden support, so we can have a safe passage, so the visitors are coming and they are seeing our efforts. This project is different than any other project, especially in the case of the pyramids. As you know, in some countries, like in Egypt, you have to have a special permission to work, to visit, to find out what's going on in different parts of the pyramids and the underground tunnels.
Yeah.
In our case, we are open for everyone. You cannot go in China and visit their pyramids in the central province of Shenxi. You cannot go anywhere you want in Mexico, in Teotihuacan pyramids. But in our case, it's different. We keep it open for everyone. And that's the reason why we had over 250,000 visitors only last year. The thing with the tunnels is that in some places they are rather narrow. They are very old, thousands and thousands of years old. In the case of the tunnel, which we call the Ravnet Tunnel, we found some stalactites and we analyzed them using the uranium method. It's been shown that the stalactite is more than 3,000 years old. What does it mean for this particular construction underground? It means that the tunnels were older than the stalactite. How old? We don't know. 3, 4, 5, 12,000 years? We are not quite sure. But what we do know is that according to the Bosnian history, there were no developed civilization 3,000 years ago, because medieval time were 600-700 years ago. The ancient Romans came 2,000 years ago. The Illyrian tribes, according to the official history, came 2,500 years ago. Now, what happened 3,000 or 4,000 years ago? According to the historians here in Bosnia, we had a caveman. But what we are finding underground are not natural caves. We have passageways. We have side tunnels or side passageways at 90 degrees or 45 degrees. So we have very complex network, 15 or 18 or 25 meters underground. And then we have inclination of the main tunnels at 1.5 degree. The reason being, the water could be drained out of the tunnel. If it was more than 1.5 degree, the water would be running so hard and so fast that it would ruin the walls of the tunnels. So obviously, the ancient builders had some engineering skills, very developed. So we are finding proof after proof that we have very mysterious and colossal complex here in Bosnia.
Yeah. In regards to the tunnels again here, have you found any kind of, how should I say, glyphs or paintings, cave paintings, or any kind of language or anything like that?
Excellent question. What we are finding in the tunnels are this different type of stones. The tunnels were made in the conglomerate which is rather common material underground. But what we are finding in the tunnels are huge megalithic blocks. Some of them are egg-shaped. Some of them are with the dimensions of 3.5 by 2.5 meters. Now these megalithic blocks have been covered for thousands of years. We know that because this is what it takes for this conglomerate material to form. On 2 of those megalithic blocks, we found a lot of different symbols, and a total of 51. When we compare those symbols to the oldest European writing, the runic writing, we found out that more than 55% of the symbols are the same. What does it mean? It means that we have discovered potentially first or one of the oldest European writings.
That's fascinating. These eggs or stone eggs that you're referring to, are these the one that we can see pictures of on your website referred to as the stone balls?
No, the stone balls is another phenomenon that we are finding here in Bosnia. Namely, it's hard to find the smaller country with more archaeological findings. Namely, on 20 different locations throughout the Bosnia, we are finding the stone spheres, the stone balls of different dimensions and different materials. Sometimes they are built out of the sandstone, sometimes they are of a volcanic origin, and sometimes they are made of granite. Now, we know that the granite never comes in nature, in free state, and that they look like perfect balls. It means that they were shaped by man. Now, when we know that they are man-made, the question is, who made those balls? And especially here in Bosnia. I haven't found any other balls in any other country in Europe, but I did find some in southern Costa Rica, about 400 of them, and there are some in western Mexico, La Piedras Bolas. There are about 250 of them, and there are 6 of them on Easter Island that I've seen, so far. So we have the stone balls in these remote areas, and always with the, high quantity of them. Now the question is, who made them? What was their purpose? How they were made? Because the biggest of those balls, like in Bosnia, some of them are 50 tons in weight. Some in Costa Rica, the biggest one is 30 tons in weight. And the biggest one in Mexico is about 40 tons in weight. Now, you probably know that the most difficult shape to make is the ball. In order to shape 40 tons big ball, you would need cranes, 2 or 3 of them, to maneuver with the material. Now, we have a new mystery because in Bosnia we haven't had according to the official history, any developed civilization thousands of years back. But we are finding the proof that yes, we did have someone who built